Linux. I haven't actually published much about it. I don't really want to name the person who's he got in contact with me because I wrote some articles about a company that not many people know about, and he had some questions to ask me. But in conclusion, he also said something very interesting about the role of Nokia, and I wrote a post today which explains that Nokia is now turning into an anti sort of Linux company because they became partners with Microsoft, and now they use their patents as expected to scrutinize and to give trouble to Android mostly, and that really troubles me.
Well, I mean, I've got two sort of related topics that I can add to that. I'm trying to decide which one first. I'll pick the second one first. Firstly, I wrote an article today in regards to Microsoft stock. Apparently today it's taken a 4% dip, and the biggest dip in a day since for the last 2 years. A quote here from the Business Insider: stock is down more than 4% in its biggest drop since July 2009, when the company reported disappointing earnings for the fourth quarter of its 2009 fiscal year. I've asked a couple of questions as to what could be the cause of this and what's the future for Microsoft. I'm sure if anybody's interested, they can read the article on my site. And the other article maybe that is more relevant to what you were just saying, Roy, was the news from BBC. And I sometimes loathe quoting the BBC, but this was an article on Nokia, and they're to shed 7,000 staff as part of, in quotes, reorganisation. I don't know if you have a
yeah. Do you know what staff it is? Do you know what the nature?
According to the site, Nokia will transfer further 3,000 employees to an outsourcing and consultancy group, Accenture.
Which of course is for those who don't know, that's one of Microsoft's big allies. And the other group that's affected greatly is the Amiga developers. So that's all of the Linux developers, partly kernel developers who are working for Nokia.
It's the figure the BBC's given. It says 4,000 jobs worldwide, and it says 700 jobs from the UK. It doesn't specify exactly where. Just checking down. I don't believe it does.
I don't think they have a branch in Manchester, but I think they have some in the south that I tend to see sometimes.
It's. I mean, a lot of people that I've been reading have often said that this deal will be the kiss of death for Nokia, and certainly there's been nothing coming out so far.
Not for the CEO of. You know what, he's got shares. Actually,
yeah.
No, he's having a bad day today because he's got shares. Maybe he's already sold his shares in Microsoft. But what happened? Part of the controversy was when Stephen Elop moved to Nokia, he had lots of shares in Microsoft. He was like the 7th biggest shareholder among the private investor in the company, and he had 0 shares in Nokia. So, what were his financial interests? Well, basically to do something that's beneficial to his stock, Microsoft, and not so much beneficial to Nokia. And people were thinking about suing him over something like that. A senior figure inside Nokia was quoted as saying, and I think I get it correctly. I think it's this is not a deal with Microsoft. This is a takeover. This is a senior person from inside Nokia who said that. And this exactly these were my words in a headline that I used the day after or the same day as the deal was announced. I basically said this looks like a takeover. That was my headline, because I judged what was happening there, and I presented some evidence to that, and turns out I was quite right even back then. But I have a friend who's a manager in BT, and he says that basically this is 100% corrupt, this situation, but there is no investigation, and I think they somehow get away even without being sued for it. So this is market distortion on many levels. This is one of the reasons I distrust Microsoft, and I write about them critically. And even though Linux is winning, and Linux is, it's winning with a certain condition, and the condition is we need to get rid of software patents now, because Google is being sued from many directions. And like I said, this person that I speak to in MIT, his patent, and hopefully I'll publish about this in the future. I have to ask him for permission and anonymize a few things. He knows certain shell companies that are being used to get hold of his patent, and they hope, I think, to use his patent to sue the competitors of Microsoft. So Microsoft has got Bill Gates, and it's got his good friend Nathan, and they try to get hold of his patent just to kind of get a monopoly on a on the field of tablets. They just need the right patents to do so. And they work behind the scenes with their, I think many of our listeners might not be aware of what I personally know about the PR operations and what's true about what these people like Gates and his friend Nathan, former CTO of Microsoft, what they actually do with patents now. It's basically they beat all those cartels and patent operations, and they feel fine about it. They pretend that it's all innovation and investment and good for society, but they get very extremely rich by doing so. So they want to get the fame and the thank yous and, oh, you're so smart, you're so clever. But what they do is just boost their own egos and boost their own their own cash piles. Both of them are billionaires now. So yeah, this is connects to the point I was making earlier. Linux is winning, but we have to defeat software patents because it's increasingly the big issue now. I write about it every day now, and I do a whole week's coverage now where I post videos of talks against software patents for the past year, because that's the least I can do to ensure we get people aware of the issues and get them to join the fight against software patents. Something I've been trying to do since 2005 or 6. Lots of people back then didn't really think this was the important thing. They were just like, Linux, it's great, it's powerful, which it is. But if the legislation is being changed to be biased against Linux, and not just in terms of patents, it's also to do with procurement, it's to do with copyrights, raiding companies, issuing invoices, things like that. Microsoft is all the time lobbying for other laws, which I could mention, that basically by definition say to you, as a company, you shouldn't be using free software because it's going to lead to complications or it's not going to be compliant.
Well, what we'll cover now, we've got a few bits of just light-hearted news, which hopefully people will be able to take a breather with now. Just a couple of packages which I've been looking at. And firstly, I surprised myself in the last week. My brother-in-law now has gone home. I think I mentioned him on a previous show. He's been helping around the house doing some odd jobs while I've been doing long hours at work. And he's gone home a very happy gentleman with a copy of Crunchbang Linux, Statler. And I was messing about with that and having a look to see what it was capable of. It's been a while since I've used Crunchbang. So anybody who's looking for a lightweight distro, and OpenBox is a fantastic desktop environment. I've had great fun with it. Experiencing for the first time iDesk in order to get shortcut icons on the desktop, because that's the package that I was using to do that. So that was a bit of fun for me and something new. Because, like I say, I haven't used Crunchbang for many years. A fantastic piece of software, fantastic distro. So I thoroughly recommend you check that out if you want something lightweight, punchy, and very solid, very stable. Debian based, so it's rock solid. Sorry, Roy.
Ubuntu based, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Can you name all the distros which moved from a Ubuntu based to a Debian based?
I couldn't off the top of my head.
Because Mint is experimenting with the idea. They have those flavors which are based off Debian. Another one which did that was, it's a tricky one. Mapis was basically based on Debian. Then there was a period of time where they tried to be based on Ubuntu, and they went back to Debian. Then there is the GNU Sense, which is the free, as in freedom, version of Ubuntu. That's moved from being based on Ubuntu to being based on Debian about a year and a half ago, or 1 year ago. And then there is, I'm trying to think if there was another one which was properly, well, but it's not true to say people move away from Ubuntu, because Popular Linux, in fact, is now based on Ubuntu. So it's actually moved from a base that's completely independent from this whole flavor. Do you know where it used to be based on? Was it based on anything before Popular Linux?
So Puppy?
Yeah. Popular Linux.
I'd be guessing if I was to. I mean, I can quickly Google it. Let's look. I don't know if it's going to give me the history. I mean, while I'm looking for that, like I say, I was very impressed by it.
In the future, if you have more video shows, you'll be able to kind of use the browser and, in fact, entertain the readers with what we're doing while we show.
It's not instantly popping up in front of me. I'm going to pass at the moment, but I'll try and put that in the show notes. Yeah. But like I was saying, I mean, Crunchbang is a fantastic distro, and it's immediately out of the box. And I know that's a bit of a cliche when it comes to Linux distributions now, and there's many